Hello and thank you for joining me for Music in My Life. Today I'll be joined by the singer Luen Semson, who will share how she copes with her condition of lupus through faith and music. She's from the island of Trinidad, so expect a lot of humor and a lot of musical rhythm. Stay with us. Every year in January, I have to do the inevitable. My tax return. Yes, that's where the government takes a bit of my money. But in doing it, I've found a way to actually cope with dealing with receipts and dealing with all the numbers and the figures which I have to input into a computer before giving it to my accountant. And that is through music. And I shared something on my Facebook page the other day. What is your perfect tax return music? Now, strangely enough, I like to listen to the Brahms Deutsches Requiem when I do my tax return. And I don't know if there is some connection with tax and death, or whether I just find the music, the beginning of the Brahms Deutsche Requiem, as you can hear, those repeated notes are very, very soothing, and they give me a sense of comfort. And also in that piece, it uses some of my very favorite chord progressions, and that changes my mood. Music has that ability to change your mood. You can wake up feeling extremely down, extremely sad, but put on a piece of music, and somehow just the sounds of that music have the ability just to change that mood from sorrow to one of joy, from a negative outlook to a positive outlook. And it's been well documented in medicine that music indeed has that ability to release the feel-good hormones in the brain to make you feel good, make you feel better. And many people within research have shown that they can change instantly their moods by just listening to music. It's the way in which many of us as human beings cope, and I think it's something to do maybe with childhood, because when we are born, we don't have the ability to form words or proper sentences. We don't have the ability to say, I'm hungry, or I'm tired, or I don't like this, or I don't like that. How do we do it? We do it instinctively through sound, through crying. And when we sing, it's a form of crying. It's a form of expressing our inner emotions. And maybe it's just connected to what we were born with. So today, as I speak with my guests, we're going to see just how that release of sound helps to cope with life and can turn sorrow into joy. Luen, thank you for joining me here on Music in My Life. Mm-hmm. I look forward to talking with you. I've known you for years, and you seem to be a really happy, bubbly person. Where does that all come from?
I think it has to do maybe where I am from in the world, Trinidad and Tobago.
Both of them?
Mm-hmm. And I say that because my dad is from Tobago and my mom is from Trinidad. And we have relatives extending St. Vincent, Grenada. And even growing up, we lived in some of the other islands. So there is that fusion. And I think Trinidadians are just a happy people. They love music, they love dance, they love fun. And you'll find that at Christmas time, we have a music called parang music, which is sort of the Latin influence, the Spanish influence. And then, of course, the world-renowned carnival, which, you know, as a good child, I shouldn't have been there, but I was as a child. And even in our home, I think my parents exposed us to all that fun of the different genres of music. So it was something that kept us going. And one of the things in Trinidad, that even if neighbors are upset with each other and carnival comes, everybody's jumping in the street together, laughing together. And one of the things that always registered in 1990, we had an attempted coup. And Trinidadians actually had curfew parties because they just wanted to forget everything. And, so that's sort of part of me.
That's quite funny, really. I mean, I remember you shared with me once, I think it's during the World Cup when Trinidad were playing, how they actually lost and people were despondent for about all of 5 minutes. And they said, let's just have a party.
And we were there, through the night, and then we left. I remember people left when we eventually lost the last game, and people were sort of crying. And then as you were walking into the city, the men just said on the truck, let's just play the music, and everybody was just, so people look at you. I think even when we had the World Cup in Germany, the BBC reporters were, but they've lost. They've lost the match. And that's just, I think part of us.
And that's healing within itself.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I remember working with some Brazilians some years ago, and we had just finished performing, and they were all crying, all emotional. And we were saying, oh, you're crying a lot. They said, oh, yes, it's good for good for the cancer.
Yes. You just let it out, you laugh, you cry. And I think in our house, it was just music and laughter, and that you didn't even realize then how much that will help you in later life.
Sure.
And it's really, I think it's just like two of the most important things.
Yeah. So what were your earliest memories of music specifically when you're growing up?
Music was, as I said, it was always in the house. And because...
Did you have people playing? Was
yes,
it playing
so my
live
mom,
instruments? Or?
I think my mom had this thought that, all her children would be musical. So we did go through a lot of instruments. My sister was on the recorder, my brother was on the quattro, I was on the piano. We went through the pan. My mom played the trumpet for a while.
What's a quattro?
It's like a slightly bigger version of what they may call the ukulele or the banjo.
Right,
so we call it the quattro in Trinidad, and they use it for the parang, and and in the country churches they would play it, to sing the songs.
Does it have 4 strings?
Yeah.
That's hence quattro from the Spanish roots of
and so people were always in the house, staying with us, going to the college, and so it was always just full of music. And I think the sort of expectation as the PK was that you had to sing something or play something. So you just did it. And I think part of it was the morning worship singing, the evening singing, friends over, you're just singing, you're just having that good time, and you'll go from house to house. Sometimes, one set is looking after all the pastor's children. So we were just having a good time. And I think sometimes people didn't actually realize that we were having that much fun outside. And, sometimes in the churches, they'd be like, but we did have that fun, and it really made me appreciate. And one thing with my dad, he really sort of let us listen to all genres of music.
Right.
And I was laughing the other day looking at an old picture with a big picture of New Edition in the background.
Oh, yes.
And Lionel Richie. And, so we had those singers that we loved.
Yeah.
And he just, he would tell us about the singers, you sure you want to listen to Luther Vandross? Or this obsession you seem to have with Boy George. What is happening? And, so we listened. And even when it came to gospel music, as I said, he will always be singing hymns. My mom will start singing hymns in the morning, and then she'll boost out to calypso to do the housework, and we'll have that playing, and in those days it was telling a story. The calypso tells a story about what was happening in the country. And we just had fun. So when some people were just listening to Jim Reeves, we were listening to Walter Hawkins and Andrew Crouch, and we were allowed to go to Shirley Caesar and Al Green concerts. And, so we had that mixture. And then again, as I said, the country is so rich with music, the fusion of the Indians and the Chinese. So we have all those different genres coming through. And so we just enjoyed it, we really enjoyed it.
Now, you've told me about the culture of the country church. Now, many people think of churches as being these buildings where everything's nice and serene, and go there to meditate.
Yes.
But of course, not in Trinidad.
Well, not everywhere, no.
But okay, I'm talking about the country now, the rural church.
So
in Trinidad.
When we were young and we would go to some churches with my dad, it would sort of surprise you because you would see the regular guitar or the same quattro. And it would be almost like we would do when we go to camp. They used to send us to camp at Carnival, so we won't get tainted with the world. And we will see people with a piece of bamboo or the bottle and a spoon. That makes, we'll take a glass with water and make music. So you sort of went to these churches, and they didn't have the traditional instruments, but they made music. And so whereas in a church in Port of Spain you might sing Amazing Grace, how sweet. You get to the country church and it will be Amazing Grace, you know, and you just felt, yeah, I'm going to the country churches.
Right.
And I think it's still, over the years now, a lot more churches have opened up and they have lots more instruments. And it's richer, you know. You still have the churches that would be, but most of them, you know, you open up and it sort of gets people to come in and share and feel that they're all part of something even higher.
Well, that's really important part of human expression, I think, you know, when you can express yourself naturally, because you have this formal, and very often people go to churches, for example, they think, okay, we've got to put on the best clothes, put on a tie, put on a suit, and think, okay, we've got to put on this this persona. But it's really great where you have people who can say, okay, well, this is what we're feeling, and we're naturally going to express ourselves with the tools which we have available to us, which I think is really, really quite amazing. And that leads me to, you know, the next thing we're going to talk about, which is things that were going on in your particular life where you've actually used natural music making to actually help you get through that. Now, you have a condition called lupus. What is that in short?
Okay, for the last 17 years, I think it is, I was diagnosed with systemic and discoid lupus. It's an autoimmune condition, chronic, and it's very debilitating. So I'm actually registered disabled, and it's hard. It's hard. I think I was showing you earlier some of the things that the patients have to face.
Wow.
You know.
Let's talk about. Wow. So we've got central nervous system, the eye, skin, blood, living membranes, kidney, musculoskeletal, reproductive. Lymphadenopathy, lining membranes. That's the whole body.
Yes. So you have two types, which of course I was greedy, so I got the two. So it's like I got up the last few days. I have a sinus infection, the mucous sinus infection. Over the years, you lose teeth, you lose skin, you get blotches, you know, and it's horrible. And as I was saying to the team today, if I didn't leave home at a certain time, stick at everything, I'll be sleeping right now. You won't be interviewing me.
Wow.
But you have to just pace yourself, and you've learned how to deal with it. You get the medication, and Lupus UK, which is the main organization for it here in the United Kingdom, are very good at sending out information and trying to support patients once you're a member.
Right. Well, let's. I mean, you're talking about coping with it, so we're going to share a song now called "Through It All." Now, this is written by the late Andre Crouch, and of course talks about how you cope in the midst of suffering. Should we sing that song?
I've had many tears and sorrows. I've had questions about tomorrow. There were times I didn't know right from wrong. But in every situation, my God, give me blessed consolation that my trials only come to make me strong. I've been to a lot of places and I've seen millions of faces, but there were times that I felt so all alone. But in those lonely hours, I call them blessed lonely hours, for Jesus let me know I was his own. So I can say that through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to trust in God. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon God's word. So I thank God for the mountains. Yes, I thank Him for the valleys. I thank Him for all the storms He's brought me through. For you see, if I never had a problem, I wouldn't know that my Jesus could solve them. I wouldn't know what faith in God's word could do. So I will say that through it all, oh, I've learned to trust in Jesus. And I've learned to trust in God. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon God's word. I'm so glad that through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. Yes, I've learned to trust in God. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon God's word.
Oh, that was special.
Yes.
It really, really was. Of course, we can hear a deep sense of faith in your singing, and how important is that faith, and what part does music play in expressing that faith for you?
I think whenever situations hit you in life, you suddenly realize that you need something else. And people talk about having a spirituality, having a faith. I grew up in a faith. And as I said before, I think we took some things for granted. But one thing my father always used to say to us, not because you're in this environment or in this faith, you're going to know God or know something. I needed to do that for yourself. So it was always something that registered with me. And I think when I came to London, I always say to people, I came to London because of a man. And I came, but then you suddenly realize it's a different ball game. And I started to pray differently, sing differently, because it's a new experience and a hard experience. And over the years, between having stresses at work, and when you're in a faith environment, it's very trying. When I got ill, people not believing that you're ill because I look too nice. Even though the doctors say lupus is a pretty disease.
Right, that's what they say, isn't it?
And we
When you
make it look good.
Feel bad, yeah.
So people won't think it. And 4 years after that, my husband just said, I'm not happy, I'm not coping with this, and I'm leaving. And I think that can crush your faith because you're expecting to have this support.
Yeah.
But that is when, and I think I said this to you, we've known each other in the choir and that sort of thing. And that's when the music really came home. There were times I couldn't pray. But the singing, just the music, listening to the music, reflecting on the old hymns that my parents would get up singing. And there were the days when I'd play the calypso music just not to decide to commit a crime, And even with the hymns, it's just become strengthening.
Well, what are some of these hymns that you find comfort?
Like when we would sing sometimes, we would sing, no matter what may come my way, my life is in your hands. Yeah. And we used to sing one, He Gives Me Joy. And of course, I love Jesus as a rock because it just sort of reminds us that He's there. He's doing this thing for you. And one of my favorite old hymns was actually, there is a balm in Gilead to heal, and you want that. And sometimes, I'm performing and I'm almost not able to sing because it's so heavy on my heart. And when things happen, as you well know, just coming to the end of September, my cousin with lupus died last year. And it just rocked us as a family, and my best friend died. And I was like, and I'm there singing these songs, when you don't understand, when you can't see the plan, trust God's heart. And I'm like, how am I doing this? I don't feel like doing this. And I remember one morning I was just looking through the hymnal because I just couldn't even do my studying. And then it was there, be still my soul.
Oh, yes.
The Lord is on your side. Bear patiently, leave to God to order and provide. And, you have that to deal with. And then later on, as you well know now, where I was working, the school closed, I'm not employed. And you just think to yourself, oh boy, okay, is this where my life ends?
Right, so life is taking all these knocks, yeah.
This is it now. The bank will come and take everything. But 2 years later, you're still standing. And you just think, I need to strengthen that faith. And for me, it's as I said, music and humor do a lot for me.
Right,
I would laugh at everything. Like last night when you put something up, I was laughing. And it was helping because I was in pain, And I get up, and this morning as I got up, it was like, Father, I stretch my hands to thee because I don't know how I'm getting out of this bed and getting through today, but you will do it. And it's just those little things, that keep you going.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would, sort of pick up on is the fact that every birthday, when it's my wife and my anniversary, it's Father's Days, Mother's Days, we're getting a text or a card from yourself, and in your situation, you are helping others to be happy.
And I think that is important to me. I always think that whatever I am going through, somebody else needs encouragement today. And, I got a call last week from this lady saying, I have not received a text for about 2 months. I said, I have a new phone, and when I know how to use the new phone. So they started hearing from me again, but I then realized how important it was for them. And you on different groups, and you just think, okay, I need to encourage the rest of the world too.
Well, that's a wonderful thing that you're actually doing. In the midst of pain, in the midst of struggle, in the midst of struggle, you are bringing joy, and that's because you obviously have a sense of joy, or a center of joy. And that's the next song we're about to share. It's written by Richard Smallwood, and Richard Smallwood and Gloria Gaither. And the song's called "The Center of My Joy," and it very much sums up, I believe, the story that you've
my
said,
life.
the music in your life. Center of My Joy.
Jesus, you're the center of my joy. All that's good and perfect, it comes from you. You're the heart of my contentment, hope for all I do. Jesus, you're the center of my joy. When I've lost my direction, you're the compass for my way. Lord, you're the fire and light when the nights are long and cold. In my sadness, you are the laughter that shatters all the fear. And when I'm all alone, your hand is there to hold. And you are why I find pleasure in the little things in this life. Lord, you're the music in the meadows, in the spring, and the voices of little children, the family and the home. Lord, you're the source and the finish of my highest praise. That's why I sing, Jesus, you're the center of my joy. For all that's good and perfect comes from you, Lord, only you. You're the heart of my contentment, hope for all I do. Oh, Jesus, You are the center of my joy. Jesus, you are the center of my joy. For you are everything, 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 my everything. You're my joy in times of sorrow. You're my hope for all tomorrow. And when I'm lonely, feeling sad, you are the lifter of my head. You're my music, you're my song, you're my joy all day long. Jesus, you're the center of my joy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Luen, you've shared with us about lupus. I know it comes from the Latin meaning a wolf that creeps up on you. And one thing we like to do in Music in My Life is just to finish off with just summing up your life in just some spontaneous singing. So what are a couple of key words that you would say sum up your life?
Happy, content.
Happy, content.
At peace.
At peace, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a song which I know you like, not an easy road. What we're going to do, we're going to change it around a bit.
Okay.
And because you are Trinidadian, daughter of a pastor, we're going to do something very, very, very...
What is he going to try now? Yes, I'm a happy, happy child. Yes, yes, I'm contented and at peace. Yes, yes, I have Jesus in my life. Yes, yes, I can live every day. For he's with me and I'm happy. I'm at peace all the time. It's not easy, but he's with me, so I'm happy. Yes, I'm happy. Yes, I'm happy. And I'm happy.
Right.
Yes.
Great. So let's call that the lupus calypso.
Okay. That could work.
That's how you're going to deal
Yes.
now. Anybody who's actually got that condition, including
Just
such
be
celebrities
happy.
like Tony
Yes.
Braxton,
Yes.
who, you know, and so forth.
Seal
And many,
a
many,
few
many
others.
others. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much. It's really been a great joy, and it's been a deep insight. Not just learning a little bit more about lupus. There's so much more that we could talk about, but also, most importantly, learning how you, through music and faith, deal with that.
Yes.
So all the best, and I wish you all strength.
Thank you. Thank you.
No doubt you'd have been deeply moved by many of the experiences that my guest Luen shared today. On the other hand, you've probably been encouraged by somebody who, through her situation, has used so much joy and humor and the power of music to help her through it. I believe that the sound of song is a perfect antidote for the state of sickness. Go find that song and heal yourself today. Join me again for Music in My Life. Thank you.